Part 1. The Brave Little Rabbit of Golden Meadow. Nestled on the edge of Golden Meadow, where morning dew sparkled like a sky full of tiny stars, lived a young rabbit named Thistle. His soft fur was a warm shade of chestnut, and his ears stood upright as if he were always listening for news of a new adventure. Though Thistle was known throughout the meadow for his courageous heart, there was one thing he did not yet understand fully: the true meaning of friendship. Every sunrise, Thistle bounded out of his burrow to greet the world. He hopped through ferns tipped with dew, his nose twitching at the scent of wildflowers. The meadow stretched wide before him, golden grasses waving in a gentle breeze, and beyond it stood the whispering woods, where ancient trees leaned together and traded secrets in soft, susurrant voices. "Today," Thistle declared to himself one clear morning, "I will explore the whispering woods." His heart thrummed with excitement. Though the older rabbits warned of shadows that might hide mischief, Thistle felt a warm courage in his chest that made him certain nothing could go wrong. He paused at the meadow's edge and took a deep breath. The forest air smelled of pine needles and damp earth. With a single bound, he crossed the small brook at the wood's entrance and stepped onto the mossy floor. Beneath his feet, fallen leaves and pine cones made a gentle crackle. The trees arched overhead, filtering sunlight into dancing patterns. As he ventured deeper, Thistle thought he heard a low, worried mumble. He followed the sound until he came upon a little clearing. There, curled beneath a toadstool, was a field mouse holding her paw as if it ached. Her gray fur was rumpled, and tears welled in her big brown eyes. "Oh, dear," said Thistle softly, crouching beside her. "Are you all right?" The mouse sniffled. "I was gathering berries for my family when I tripped over this root and sprained my paw. It hurt so much, and I can't walk home." Thistle's heart swelled with determination. "Don't worry, I'll help you." Carefully, he lifted her onto his back, mindful of the weight and her sore paw. Then he hopped out of the clearing and retraced his path toward the meadow's edge. They paused at the brook. The current glistened, and stepping stones jutted out of the water like little islands. The mouse quivered. "I can't cross," she said. "I'm afraid I'll slip." Thistle scanned the stones, and then with careful precision hopped from one to the next, guiding the mouse's paws to each stable rock. When they finally reached the opposite bank, the mouse burst into a relieved laugh. "You are very brave," she said, "and very kind. I don't even know your name." "I'm Thistle," he replied, brimming with pride. "What's yours?" "I'm Marigold," said the mouse. "Thank you for helping me. I don't know what I would have done without you." They made their way through the golden grasses until they reached Marigold's family burrow, set into the gentle slope of a grassy hill. Inside, little mouse children peeked around corners, and Mrs. Field Mouse fussed over Marigold, wrapping her tiny paw in soft leaves and offering warm herb tea. "Thank you for bringing Marigold home," Mrs. Field Mouse said. her whiskers trembling with gratitude. "You truly are brave and kind." Thistle smiled shyly. He felt his chest swell with a glow he'd never felt before. He had set out alone into the woods, thinking only of his own adventure, and he had found something greater, the joy of helping someone else. "I should go," he said at last, remembering the length of the day and the promise he'd made to return before sunset. "Goodbye, Marigold, and thank you." As he bounded away toward the whispering woods again, the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the meadow in soft apricot shades. Yet Thistle found himself hesitating at the forest's edge. He glanced over his shoulder at the little mouse family, their burrow warm and full of light. In his heart, he wondered if this was the end of his adventure, or just the beginning of a different kind of journey. Resolute once more, he plunged back into the trees. Bird song echoed overhead, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of honeysuckle. Thistle followed a narrow path he had never noticed before, where ferns grew tall and foxgloves nodded as if to greet him. It wasn't long before he came upon a deeper, darker part of the wood, where tangled roots formed obstacles across the trail. Thistle paused. The shadows between the trees shifted. He could almost believe they were fingers beckoning him to turn back. Just then, a glimmer of golden light flickered in the distance. A lantern, hanging from a broken branch. With his heart pounding, Thistle hopped forward and found a small clearing ringed by ancient oaks. In the center lay a curious sight, a wooden chest carved with leaves and vines, half buried in moss. Thistle approached carefully. "What have we here?" he whispered. He reached out with a gentle paw and brushed the moss aside, revealing the chest's metal hinges. But as soon as he touched it, a soft rumble rolled through the clearing, as though the ground itself sighed in surprise. The chest lid creaked open. Inside lay a single, shining acorn bigger than Thistle's paw. It glowed with a warm golden light that pulsed like a heartbeat. Thistle's eyes widened. He knew in that moment that this was no ordinary acorn. It felt alive with magic and promise. Suddenly, a voice echoed from somewhere above. "Who dares disturb the heart of the forest?" it asked, deep and gentle as the wind through the treetops. Thistle froze. He looked around, but saw no one. The lantern's flame flickered. Somewhere in the branches a large shape moved. Thistle's bravery welled up again. He hopped to his full height, his voice steady. "I am Thistle of Golden Meadow. I mean no harm. I was following a path, and I found this acorn." "Brave little rabbit," the voice replied, "you have discovered the heart of the forest, a gift for one who seeks not only adventure, but also friendship and kindness. But such a gift is bound by promise. Will you protect the forest's heart and all its creatures, not for reward, but for the joy of caring?" Thistle's heart thumped so loud he feared it would echo through the woodland. He thought of Marigold, waiting safely at home, and of the warmth in Mrs. Field Mouse's eyes. He thought of the foxgloves bowing their heads, and the whispering trees that sheltered him. He realized then that to protect something so precious, to care for it, would be the greatest adventure of all. I will, Thistle answered without hesitation. I promise to protect the forest's heart and every creature who lives here. For a moment the clearing was silent. Then the lantern's light glowed brighter, and the golden acorn pulsed in Thistle's paw. The voice spoke again, kindly. So be it. In your heart may courage and friendship always grow. The ground beneath Thistle's paws seemed to hum with gentle approval. Leaves rustled overhead as though in celebration. The chest closed itself, the lantern's glow softened, and the forest returned to its quiet watchfulness. Holding the acorn close, Thistle retraced his steps out of the clearing. The path, once tangled and dark, now felt welcoming. Fireflies blinked at his passing. Somewhere in the distance, the cry of an owl greeted him like an old friend. By the time he emerged into Golden Meadow, twilight had fallen and stars dotted the sky. He could see Marigold's burrow softly lit at the hill's base. His paws were tired, but his spirit soared. As Thistle settled down in the grass to rest, he gazed up at the forest's shadowed edge. In his paw the acorn lay warm and steady, a reminder that bravery was not just facing the unknown, but also protecting those you care for. And so, under the glow of 1,000,000 stars, Thistle the rabbit fell asleep with dreams of friendship and promise dancing in his mind. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new friends, and deeper lessons in courage. But for now, he rested, knowing that in his heart the forest's gift would guide him on every step of his journey. To be continued. Part 2. Part 2. The Moonlit Path to True Friendship. Under a pale silver moon, Rowan the rabbit and his new friend Hedge the hedgehog pressed onward along the forest trail. The air smelled of damp earth and night-blooming flowers, and every rustle in the underbrush held the promise of something, perhaps wondrous, perhaps unknown. Rowan's heart fluttered between excitement and a little bit of nervousness. He'd never traveled so far from home, but now that Hedge scuttled beside him, he felt braver than ever. They'd met only hours before, when Rowan had rescued Hedge from a tangling of sticky spiderweb on a low branch. Hedge had been timid at first, quills all a-tremble, but Rowan had spoken gently, offering comfort and steady paws. Together they freed Hedge, and in the pale afternoon light the two discovered a warm companionship neither had expected. Now, under the shimmer of moonlight, their journey continued. A wide grassy meadow stretched before them, its tall blades swaying like a green sea. Tiny moths and fireflies bobbed in the air, guiding them forward. Rowan hopped, then stopped. He pointed to a low mound in the distance. "See that?" he whispered. Hedge squinted. "Is it a clump of grass or something more?" They approached quietly. Atop the mound lay a small patch of moonlit stones, arranged in a circle. Inside, the earth was bare and soft, as if made into a seat. Around the circle, pale mushrooms glowed faintly, their caps like tiny lanterns. "What do you suppose this is?" Hedge wondered. Rowan sniffed. A meeting place? Or maybe a puzzle set by the forest spirits? Hedge nodded. Let's look closely. Rowan hopped to the edge and examined the stones. Each one bore a tiny spiral mark, carved so smoothly it must have taken patient paws and claws. He traced the spiral with his whiskers. "It's beautiful," he said softly. Hedge scooted closer. Spirals often mean growth. They remind us that everything in the forest grows in circles: life, change, friendship. He grinned, bristles softening. "Wouldn't you agree?" Rowan's heart warmed. He realized that even Hedge, so small and shy, carried wisdom. "Yes," he said, "I do agree." They settled inside the circle, back to back, and whispered about their hopes for the journey ahead. Rowan admitted he was eager to find the tooth-blossom flower. Its petals said to bring courage and kindness to any creature who touched them. Hedge confessed he wanted to find a place he could call home, where he wouldn't be afraid of the night. They shared dreams in low tones, the forest canopy absorbing their words like a secret promise. As they rested, a soft voice drifted through the hush. "You two are traveling partners, are you not?" Rowan started and sat up. Hedge jumped to his feet, quills prickling. From the shadows stepped an owl, great, round-eyed, perched upon a low branch. Feathers mottled like tree bark, wings folded neatly at her sides. "I am Sage Wind, the owl who watches this forest by night," she said. Her deep eyes blinked. "I saw you cross the stream earlier, Rabbit, and heard your kind words to Hedge here. I wondered if you might welcome a guide." Rowan's ears twitched. "A guide? That would be most helpful." He hopped forward. "We are searching for the tooth blossom. Have you seen it?" Sage Wind tilted her head. "I have watched the blossom bloom on a distant hill beyond the Silver Creek and the Thistle Ridge. You must cross both if you wish to reach it. But beware. Challenges of trust and courage await there." Hedge stepped forward, stifling his nerves. "We'll be careful," he said, voice small but determined. "We help each other." Sage Wind spread her wings. "Good. Friendship is the greatest ally in the forest's trials. Come, I will show you a hidden path." Together they followed Sage Wind deeper into the trees. The mushrooms that had glowed so brightly around the stone circle were nowhere to be seen here. Instead, a carpet of soft moss led their way, cushioned by fallen leaves. Each step was silent. Rowan's heart beat steadily, for with the owl's steady guidance he felt safe. Hedge padded quietly beside him, quills no longer so tense. Soon they reached a narrow ravine. Silver Creek wound through its base, small boulders breaking the flow into chattering ripples. Rowan peered down. "The water's moving fast." Hedge sniffed. "It looks deep, too." Sage Wind landed on a rock by the edge. I can carry one of you over, but only if you wish. The other must find a way across by trusting in the forest's shapes." Rowan looked at Hedge. "Do you want me to go first?" Hedge shook his head. "No, you're smaller. You can leap from stone to stone. I'll wait and watch." Rowan felt a flutter of pride and fear. He hopped down onto the largest mossy rock in the stream, which felt slippery under his paws. He glanced upstream. Another stone, then another, led toward the far bank. He took a breath. "Here I go." Step by careful step he hopped. The water rushed, cold and bright in the moonlight. His heart pounded. He slipped once. Quivering whiskers almost dipped into the foam. But he caught himself, and with one final bound, he stood on the opposite shore. "Rowan!" Hedge cheered softly from above. Sagewind nodded her great head in approval. "Now it's your turn," Rowan called back. "I know you can do it." Hedge cuffed his chest quills proudly. "All right." He focused on the first rock. It seemed far away, but with a steady push of his hind legs he launched himself. He landed with a wobble. He rested, then hopped again, all the way to shore. Rowan and Sagewind cheered. Hedge let out a small, proud sigh. He was trembling, but he'd done it. Rowan hopped down to join him. "I knew you could," he said. "I'm so proud, Hedge." "That felt like magic," Hedge murmured, a shy smile on his face. "I never thought I could be so brave." Rowan grinned. "You were brave because you trusted yourself and allowed me to believe in you." They thanked Sagewind, who bowed her head solemnly. "Your courage and friendship have carried you this far, but soon you will face the trial that truly tests your bond. Keep your hearts open to each other." With that, Sagewind flew upward, wings silent against the star-sprinkled sky. "Follow the moonlight," she called, "and remember, you are not alone." Left on the creek's far bank, Rowan and Hedge took a moment to rest. The moonlight glowed like a lantern on the leaves above. Rowan reached into a small cloth bag at his side and pulled out 2 pieces of carrot, a modest feast. He handed one to Hedge. "We've earned this," he said. Hedge accepted it with gratitude, nibbling slowly as they sat together on the soft grass. They watched the water shimmer. Suddenly, a rustling came from the reeds at the creek's edge. They froze. A slender shape emerged, a small turtle, shell cracked and one leg dragging. The turtle's eyes were tired but hopeful. "Please," the turtle croaked, "help me. I tried to cross the creek and a sharp rock cut my shell. I can't travel far." Rowan's heart welled. "Oh, dear friend," he said gently. "Hold on. Hedge, can you help me carry him?" Hedge nodded, even though his quills bristled with worry at the sight of blood. "I'll be careful." They scooped the turtle onto a patch of soft moss. Rowan used a clean leaf from his satchel to bind the turtle's shell with strands of grass. Hedge gathered soothing herbs known to heal hurt creatures. Row by row, they dressed the wound. The turtle sighed in relief. "Thank you," he whispered. "I thought I'd never make it to my pond home, Rowan smiled. We help our friends. Hedge nodded. Even tiny things can do big things when we care. The turtle blinked, moved his heeled leg experimentally. Because of you, I will make it home. I will tell all the pond folk your kindness. The rabbit and the hedgehog beamed. They felt lighter, as if an invisible weight had lifted. They watched the turtle shuffle away until he disappeared among the tall reeds. Rowan tucked his herbs and bandages away. That felt good, he said. Helping him, I mean. And we did it together, Hedge added. We make a good team. The two friends resumed the path through the trees, where moonbeams cut silver lines across the leafy floor. Every so often they paused to listen. The coo of a mother dove, the distant howl of a fox, the soft susurrus of leaves. Once in a while Rowan would glance at Hedge and see that shy smile back again. After a time they came to a clearing ringed by whispering pines. At its center stood a massive willow tree whose long limbs swept the ground like silken veils. Beneath its arching branches lay a single bloom, the tooth blossom. Its petals were pale pink and shaped like tiny hearts, and at the very center glowed a drop of dew that shimmered with a gentle light. Rowan's eyes widened. There it is, he breathed. The tooth blossom. Hedge whispered, awed. It's more beautiful than I imagined. Rowan hopped forward, but then he halted. The bloom lay within reach, but guarding it was a low stone wall lined with carved faces of forest creatures, squirrel, fox, deer, crow. Their eyes seemed to watch him. A hush fell over the clearing. The willow's branches quivered, and the fallen petals rustled as if stirred by an unseen breeze. Rowan swallowed. I think this is the trial Sage Wind mentioned. Hedge's quills bristled with worry. What should we do? Rowan took a breath. He remembered how Hedge had trusted him at the creek, how Sage Wind had guided them, and how they had helped the wounded turtle. He squared his shoulders. We go together. One steps forward only when the other is beside him. He took Hedge's paw. Are you with me? Hedge nodded, quivering but determined. With you. Together they hopped to the stone wall. As they approached, the carved faces seemed to soften. The owl's face closed its beak in a quiet smile. The fox's eyes glimmered kindly. The squirrel's carved paws opened in welcome. Rowan touched the wall gently. Friendship is stronger than any trial, he whispered. Hedge echoed the words. Slowly the wall crumbled, stones falling away like dried leaves. The path to the blossom was clear. Rowan and Hedge stepped forward and knelt beneath the willow. Rowan reached out and cupped the tooth blossom in his paws. Its petals were cool to the touch, and the dew-drop pulsed softly, as though alive. He picked the blossom carefully, then looked at Hedge. Thank you, he whispered. I couldn't have done this without you. Hedge smiled through shining eyes. And I couldn't have been braver without you. Together they rose and held the blossom between them. A gentle wind rustled the willow's leaves, showering the clearing with soft petals. Rowan felt a warmth bloom in his chest, bravery newly kindled, friendship stronger than ever. Moonlight glowed around them, and stars winked overhead. Though they'd reached their goal, they sensed the journey was not quite finished. Yet, in that moment, they knew that whatever adventures lay ahead, in the next part of their tale, they would face them side by side. At last, they made camp under the willow's branches, drifting into dreams of home and of the friends they had helped and would yet meet. The forest held its breath in peaceful silence, honoring the bond between a brave rabbit and a timid hedgehog who had learned the greatest lesson of all, that true courage grows in the heart of friendship. End of Part 2. Part 3. The Treasure of True Friendship. Late one soft morning, as golden sunlight filtered through the leaves, Brave Rabbit and his friends, Sage the squirrel, Lila the lark, and Thistle the tortoise, stood at the edge of the whispering woods. The journey so far had tested them in ways they never imagined. Riddles whispered on the wind, hidden paths that twisted like questions, and Russell the fox, who had challenged them to search their hearts for what mattered most. Yet each trial had drawn them closer, teaching Brave Rabbit that courage alone was not enough to light the way home. They stepped beneath the tall pines, the air cool and hushed. Lila flitted overhead, her keen eyes scanning for danger. Sage bounded ahead, chittering as she collected shiny acorns that glowed faintly in the dappled light. Thistle followed steadily, his shell bumping softly against roots that curled like sleeping snakes. Brave Rabbit's heart pounded with a mixture of excitement and worry. He wondered whether he had the strength to face the final challenge they all felt, lying somewhere deeper in the forest's heart. Suddenly, the trees opened onto a moonlit clearing, though it was broad daylight. At its center stood an ancient oak ringed by smooth stones. When they approached, the stones began to hum in low, rolling tones. A voice, as old as the forest itself, murmured, "Only those who bear the gift of friendship may pass. Prove your bond, and the path shall open." Brave Rabbit swallowed hard. What did he truly have to give? Lila fluttered to Brave Rabbit's shoulder. "Remember how you trusted me to guide us when we were lost," she whispered. Sage danced across the stones and dropped a glowing acorn into the center. "I would not be here without your kind heart," she chattered softly. Thistle shuffled forward and gently placed a smooth river pebble on the stone beside the acorn. "Your bravery inspired me to keep going," he rumbled. Brave Rabbit realized each friend remembered a moment when he had shown them courage, kindness, and hope. Stepping into the ring, Brave Rabbit closed his eyes and opened his heart. He recalled how Lila's song had calmed his fears, how Sage's daring leaps had led them from danger, and how Thistle's steady pace had reminded him that patience mattered. With a deep breath, he spoke aloud. "I carry your faith in me, and your friendship is my greatest treasure." The stones glowed brighter, their hum transforming into a gentle melody that rose like bird song on the breeze. As the last note faded, the oak before them split wide to reveal a hidden path shimmering in silvery light. Together They stepped through and found themselves in the luminous meadow, a place of silver grass and dewdrop flowers that glowed softly under a twilight sky. In its center lay an ornate chest, carved with images of creatures nestled in friendship's embrace. With hearts pounding, they gathered around the chest. Brave Rabbit knelt and lifted the lid. Inside, they found no piles of gold or sparkling jewels. Instead, there were simple tokens, a tiny silver key, a folded parchment, and a small mirror framed in polished oak. On the parchment was a single line. True friendship is the key. Reflect its light, and the greatest treasure is found within. Brave Rabbit picked up the mirror and held it aloft. Each friend saw their own smiling face reflected back, but it did not lie. In their eyes glowed warmth, loyalty, and joy for one another. Sage's acorn lay against the silver lining, reminding them how even small gifts of heart matter. Thistle's pebble rested beside it, a symbol of steady trust. Lila's song drifted softly on the breeze, weaving all their stories together. "It's not gold or jewels," Sage said softly. "It's us. And us together is the treasure," Lila added, her wings brushing softly against Brave Rabbit's ear. Thistle bowed his head in agreement. "Nothing is more precious than knowing we have one another." Brave Rabbit cradled the mirror and key, feeling a warmth blossom deep within his chest. He understood now that the trials they faced had been tests not of his courage alone, but of their friendship's strength. Holding the key, he knew there was no locked door to open, but the lock upon his own heart. By trusting his friends, he had found the greatest adventure of all. When they left the luminous meadow, the sun was setting behind gentle hills tinted rose and lavender. Whispering woods gave way to soft rolling fields. In the distance they could see Rabbit Hollow, their cozy burrow village, where families were lighting lamps and preparing evening meals. Brave Rabbit's homecoming, he realized, would be all the sweeter for the friends who walked with him. As they approached the burrow's entrance, Mama Rabbit and Papa Rabbit emerged to greet them, worry turning to relief when they saw Brave Rabbit's bright eyes and steadfast smile. Sage, Lila, and Thistle stood respectfully at the edge of the lawn. Mama Rabbit's gentle voice trembled with gratitude as she invited them to share a meal and stay as her honored guests. That evening, beneath strings of lanterns hung between blooming trees, all of Rabbit Hollow gathered to celebrate. There were bowls of berry pudding and plates of warm carrot bread. Leela's sweet melody drifted over the laughter, while Sage showed off the glowing acorn that still pulsed with gentle light. Thistle gave a thoughtful speech about perseverance and compassion, and Brave Rabbit, his heart full, stood to speak last. He told everyone how he had learned that bravery was not only about facing towering dragons or crossing dark forests, but also about opening one's heart to others. Each friend, he explained, had shown him that together they were stronger, braver, and kinder than any of them could ever be alone. The burrow shook with applause, and Brave Rabbit felt a peaceful glow settle over him as he looked at the faces of everyone he loved. Later, when the stars had begun to twinkle overhead and the guests departed with warm farewells, Brave Rabbit slipped back inside his cozy bed. Mamma Rabbit tucked him in and kissed his forehead. Outside the window, fireflies danced like floating stars. Brave Rabbit closed his eyes, the gentle melody of friendship echoing in his mind. He dreamed of whispering woods and moonlit clearings, of luminous meadows, and the friends who had shared every step with him. As dawn's first light rose, Brave Rabbit awoke with a smile. He found on his bedside table the small silver key and the mirror from the chest. He placed them on his nightstand, reminders that every time he felt afraid or alone, he only needed to look within and remember the gift of friendship he carried always in his heart. And so, in the quiet peace of Rabbit Hollow, Brave Rabbit lay still for a moment, savoring the lessons he had learned, that courage and kindness go hand in hand, that true treasure is measured not in gold, but in the warmth of hearts joined together, and that adventure is sweetest when shared. With the soft breeze outside his window and the promise of new journeys ahead, Brave Rabbit let sleep carry him gently into happy dreams, where friendship shone forever bright. The end.